I was talking to Kant, I would say, hey, bro, you got some good points there, but for your position to really work the way you're wanting it to work, you've got to have other things that you're missing, namely our deity would actually solve things because, for example, in the Christian worldview, there is a distinction between the external world and the individual and his consciousness, which this is, again, a historic problem in philosophy is how do we know there's an external world, this kind of stuff. If God created the world and if we are made in his image and we're distinct from animals and from the external world, then we avoid a lot of the, say, Far Eastern positions of Maya and that everything's illusory and everything's a projection of my mind, right? A lot of philosophies believe this. So again, what I would say is that there's actually a presuppositional critique that we would do of Kantianism to show that just because Kant's doing transcendental arguments, it doesn't mean that he's doing the kind of argumentation that we're doing. Just like with Gödel, even though Gödel's using a transcendental argument, it's not the kind of argument it's not the content of the argument is not the same as what I'm doing, even though the form of the argument is the same. And so when you were talking about a person doing logic who doesn't have my worldview, what I'm saying is that if you think back to your discussion that you had, for example, with Darth Dawkins, if we talk about induction in nature, right, regularity in nature, which is actually absolutely necessary for the scientific method itself, the scientific method presupposes things like logic, like regularity in nature. And as we said, from Hume all the way up to William Van Orman Quine, there's not a logical justification for induction itself. And so the solution, I would say, is that, well, if the world is created in a way in which there's a God who providentially guides nature, who has set up nature to operate in a providential way, that does explain how there could be induction, right? That doesn't mean that when you don't believe that you don't still on a day-to-day basis operate on the basis of induction. You do. But the question is rather a meta level question of, well, how could you, if there is a way, could it possibly be justified to believe in induction? Is there a way to justify meta logic? Is there a way to justify meta ethics? So that's distinct. It's like another level of looking at the question rather than just kind of the ground level of, this versus that, your claim versus my claim, etc.
Okay, so again, I'm trying to pick between two different let's see, which way do I want to go? All right, so